for the Kindle Unlimited for free. And oh my gosh, my eyes were open to a whole new world. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today, as you know, as you can see by the title, we have another reading wrap up for you guys, and it is the month of June. I did some good reading this month. I read 10 books in total, which is the most I have read in a month in like so long. Yeah, and they were all full like books as well. I didn't have any like tiny novellas or anything. So yeah, I'm quite like proud of myself. I feel like there's two reasons for the having read 10 books though. One is I went on holiday to Portugal this month. I went on the first week of June and we were in a villa and stuff, so I had lots of time and chilling to do reading by the pool and sunbathing. So I read 4 books in that week. And then I also bought a Kindle this month. I never thought I would be a Kindle girly. I thought I would always be like physical paperback. Of course, I'm still always going to be reading my paperbacks. I don't intend on buying any books on here. I simply have just bought it for the free ones that you can get with Kindle Unlimited. If I have to pay for any, I would rather just pay the extra and get the physical copy. So that's kind of what I'm doing with the Kindle. And then my rule is like, if it's, I'm gonna say like 4 and above, I will buy the books after. Like if I really like them, I will then buy the books physically for my shelf and to like tab and stuff. So yeah, those are the two reasons. I feel like I read so much quicker on the Kindle. I don't know whether it's because you can't really see the pages, like the progress you've made. So it just like, I don't know what does it, but I feel like I read way quicker on here. I am doing a vlog with my Kindle, like reading for a week with my Kindle. I don't know if that will be out already or not. But I've only got a little basic case for it so far, but I've ordered lots of other things for it. So I'm super excited to get all those. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the books that I read. So the first book I read this month is When Gracie Met the Grump by Mariana Zapata. So I love Mariana Zapata so much. This is her shelf. I love her. I absolutely love her. She's the queen of slow burn romance. And when I mean slow burn, I mean like this is like what, 500 and something pages, and they most probably don't really like get together or like do anything until like these last pages. Like, it's so good. Some people find them slow and boring, like because they don't like how slow it goes. To me, they are perfection. Utter perfection. Like, there's so many like little scenes and stuff in it that has you like giggling, but they're not together yet, and then there's like a bit of conflict, and then they get protective, and there's just loads of little bits that just build up, and it's so good. Like, I absolutely adore her books. There's no other slow burns like her. No other. So this is about Gracie, and in the world she lives, it's basically like Earth. It's just it's us. But they have like a family of super beings, superhumans that live on their planet that like protect them. So there's like the Primordial, the Defender, and someone else. And the Defender is like a very mysterious superhuman. No one really knows much about him. And he lands in her garden. And he's like extremely injured, and she has to essentially like hide him in her house and look after him until he has the strength to go back into the world and do his saving things. And obviously as she looks after him, she learns things and whatnot, and he learns things about her. But obviously by the title, he is a massive grump. He's so grumpy. He doesn't really speak much at the beginning, but then like throughout it, obviously it develops. And yeah, so it goes from her protecting him to him protecting her because she has a background that is following her. So that's basically the synopsis, and it is so good. Like, obviously, like I said, there's a lot of protective moments in here. He's definitely a grump. She's very like introverted and like quite lonely and things, and there's just lots of really nice scenes in here. The only negative I have for it is I wish there was like a little bit more conflict towards the end. Like the last 200 pages, there wasn't anything massive that happened that like created some kind of conflict. There was obviously like them figuring out their feelings, and they had their own kind of inner conflict about each other and whatnot, but I wanted there to be something like more from like Gracie's past, for example, or just something to just like give it a bit of a kick, you know? So that is my only like a negative. So yeah, I gave this a 4 out of 5, really, really solid 4. I really enjoyed it, and it made me realise how much I love her writing and how much I've missed it, because I haven't read a book of hers in so long. So yeah, it kind of just reminded me of how much I love Miss MZ. Guys, this is really disappointing for me. We have Shadow Reaper by Lynette Noni. Now, if you've watched any of my like more recent wrap-ups and the mid-year tag and whatnot, I am obsessed with Lynette Noni's The Prison Healer trilogy. It is 6 stars, obsessed, a new God tier series. Like, I absolutely adored it. I went and bought the Fairy Loot editions for each book, like obsessed, whole nother level obsessed, right? Then I had a look what other books she had, because I never read from her before, and I saw that she was releasing this in literally a week. When I looked, it was like a week and then this was being released. So I pre-ordered it, so I got it straight away, and I was super excited about it. You know, another fantasy romance. It's a duology. This is just the first one, and I went into it with extremely high expectations. Like, not just high, like extremely high, because obviously I had just come from The Prison Healer and I was trying to chase that high of that feeling, and I think that most of it on my end was a mistake. I should have maybe left it a little bit, because maybe those expectations ruined it for me. I don't know. I enjoyed the magic system. I enjoyed the world. It's basically, there is Veery, and she is a Reaper hunter. So there are these people who reap the magic from people, like they siphon it basically, but once they siphon that magic, the person dies. So she is a hunter killing these Reapers, and they're on this island. They are surrounded like a black mist that kills them if they go in. So they're very secluded. There's lots of like mysterious stuff going on. There's lots of plot twists and like magic building and world building going on. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought it was pretty unique. The thing I think that disappointed me with this is the romance. Like, it's there for sure, like it's there. But, and like with The Prison Healer, it's not like extreme, but it's so good and you are constantly kind of thinking about that romance. Whereas this one, it didn't hook me like that. I wasn't really invested in their connection or their romance, and I didn't really feel their chemistry. This is kind of like childhood friends to lovers, but it's like childhood friends to enemies to lovers in a way. And I'm not a big fan of childhood friends to lovers, so I think that affected it as well, but that's more of a preference, not really on the book itself, because if you like childhood friends to lovers, then, you know, this may be amazing for you, but because I don't like that trope, obviously that's just more of a preference. But yeah, so it was definitely more of a subplot, and unfortunately I just didn't really feel their chemistry that much. I didn't really feel connected to the characters either, like individually. Like, I liked them, but I wasn't super like invested in them, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was a little bit disappointing for me, but I do think, you know, the expectations I went in with was most probably not the greatest idea, but I enjoyed her writing. I still love her writing. I love her plots and stuff. Like, the plot twists were amazing yet again, and I didn't see like quite a few of them come in, but yeah, it just lacked in some aspects for me. So I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I would most probably lower it to about a 3 now though. Now that I've kind of had time to sit on it, I would most probably lower it to a 3, unfortunately. I am still going to read the second one though, because it could, you know, kick up, especially after the ending on that one. It was quite a surprise ending, so I'm still gonna continue the duology. I'm sitting like really straight, like really good posture right now, but it's hurting my back. But I'm gonna keep going. Also, I'm wearing my England shirt today because we are in the round of 32 against Congo. Next, Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. So I've never read a book from Rebecca Ross, so this was a new author for me. I'd heard lots of amazing things about it, particularly about the romance and the writing style. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. It was definitely a very solid 4 as well. The author's writing, like everyone has said, is beautiful. It's simple in a way you can understand. It's like easy to understand. It was easy to understand the plot, the side characters. There is a war going on within this book, and it was very easy to understand the sides and the rules of this war and things. But her writing is also very like flowery as well, and like really pretty, like beautiful writing. So I really enjoyed that like experience. So this follows Iris and Roman, and they are rivals at the same like journalist publishing firm. Like they are competing for the columnist position, and so they're doing these assignments and like battling, but like with paper and on words and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. Like it was definitely unique. Like a unique setting, and I liked how it was different to, like, it's a fantasy romance, but it's not all about like strength and power and magical abilities. It was more, you know, it was their power with how they can change the war and inform people about the war through their writing. So that was definitely really nice to read about. Like it was refreshing, it was unique. And then there is a, like I said, there is a war happening in this book between a god and a goddess, and Iris's brother goes to the front line in order into blah blah. Why I always, in every video, I always like stumble over so many words. Anyway, Iris's brother goes to the front line to fight for the goddess, and he goes missing on the front line, and so Iris starts writing letters to him and like putting them under her wardrobe, which is like a little childhood kind of thing they did. But the letters go missing, and she thinks there is somehow like a magical bond to her brother and he's getting these letters. But it turns out the letters have actually gone to her rival Roman, and so they kind of forge this magical bond through letters, and it's really, really cute and romantic because obviously she doesn't realise that it's Roman. So, you know, it's really fun, it's really cute, and I really liked the romance of the build-up of the romance, because it was done in a way where it was actually realistic, like the timing, the progression of it. I just thought it was definitely like a realistic love story, which I really enjoyed as well. So I liked both the FMC, the MMC. I thought individually they was great, together they was great. The plot was entertaining, it was fast paced, I loved the writing, and the ending was pretty crazy. So 4 out of 5. Then I, of course, read the second one, which is Ruthless Vows. So this is a duology. It is called I think it's called the Letters of Enchantment duology. I love the covers for these. I just think they match the vibe so well, and I love like the art and stuff on it, and then how the spines match as well. So this, of course, follows on from the ending. I can't really say too much about this one because it will obviously, like, I can't say the synopsis because it will ruin it. There is a certain trope in here that I don't want to say because it is, of course, a spoiler for the ending of the last one, and obviously throughout this one. I would say it's quite an unpopular trope, but it's done well. It's done in a way that it makes sense. It makes sense to the story, and it's realistic, and the development of it was pretty good. So don't go into it, you know, if you've heard about the trope and you know what it is, don't be like intimidated by it. It's fine. But I'm not gonna say the trope if you don't know. So yeah. The only like negative about this is I thought the conflict at the end was a little bit too quick. I don't know, it just felt a bit too easy. You know what I mean? Like this, again, I can't really say too much about the actual conflict, but this thing had been quite built up and made to sound very hard to beat. Like I do think it's hard to end a conflict without it sounding easy, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it happens in a lot of books. It can be hard to end it when it's been built up so much, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think I just wanted a little bit more something with the conflict. This one I gave a 3.75. So those are all the books I read on my holiday. So for the next one, I saw a TikTok of a part from a book, and I feel like authors do it all the time. They take one little scene from a book to promote it. It was him, the MMC, being tortured, but not physically. It was a vision of his partner being like touched and, you know, by another man, and he was like screaming in his like chair like, stop it, I can't take it, blah blah blah. And I was like, I need to read that. So I found out what book it was, and it turns out it was the second one in this series. And so I went on Amazon, I had a look how much it was. It was like £15, and I was like, oh, like I don't really want to pay £15 right now, because I'll have to buy two, obviously. So then I saw on Amazon next to it, it had £0 Kindle Unlimited. So like, what? You know, I'd obviously heard of Kindle, but I didn't realise you could get them on your phone. So I downloaded the Kindle app. I got a 3-month trial for the Kindle Unlimited for free. And oh my gosh, my eyes were open to a whole new world. I did not realise how many titles, books you could get for free on Kindle Unlimited. Obviously, you have to pay a £9 subscription, but it's so worth it. Like, genuinely, the amount of titles, and like, it wasn't even like smaller ones, you could say, or like less popular. There was huge titles like The Poppy War, the Rights of, Shield of Sparrows, like really big popular books for free. And I was like, what? How have I not known this? Like, how have I not looked into this? You know what I mean? So I found the book, I downloaded the books on my phone, and I read them on my phone. I ended up reading 4 books on my phone, and then I bought the Kindle a week after when it was the Amazon like Prime Day. So that is the story of how I got a Kindle, basically. So the first one is Beg the Night. I will put the cover in the corner. And this one is from the promoting thing, but it's not got that scene in this one. This follows Athena. First of all, bonus points that she's named after, you know, the Greek goddess, because she's my favourite. And she is an earthly. In this world, there is earthlies and mystics. The series is called The Mystics of Ashura. And earthlies have no power. Mystics can have powers of any kind, but they range from tier 1 to tier 3. But like tier 2 might be able to use elemental magic, like they might be able to control fire. A tier 3 would be like a shadow weaver dude or a teleporter, something like that. So then she's captured by the ministry. She's thrown into a prison with loads of other mystics, and she is told, you will mate with one of these mystics in order to do the like claiming mating ritual, and that will unlock your powers and you will be a weapon for the ministry, basically. Now she obviously doesn't think she has a power, and she refuses to mate with any of these people that she does not know until she meets a guy called Cinna in this prison. And Cinna is a tier 3, and he eventually volunteers to mate with Athena because he knows that to get out of this prison he will eventually have to mate with someone, and that's his like ticket to get out. So he takes the opportunity. I really enjoyed this. It's by Emily Blackwood. I really enjoyed her writing. I loved the build up of the romance. It was like enemies to lovers, sort of, like not exactly enemies, but like they had dislike towards each other. They were simply doing it because of the circumstances. But then, of course, feelings get involved and, you know, it's not as simple as that anymore. I liked the MMC Sinner. He obviously was like hateful towards the start, but then he gradually has feelings for Athena. He becomes very protective of her. There is a lot of possessiveness in this book. So, you know, if you don't like that, then, you know, there's that. But, you know, I'm okay with it. So there is a lot of that in it. Athena is like very strong and independent though on her own. Like, I really liked her character as well. The only thing about this is I found it a little bit slow towards the end and I was getting a tad bit bored, but you know, it was enough to want me to keep going with the series. So I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. So of course we have like the bonded mates trope as well, which obviously my favorite trope. I love it. So we have like the bonded mates, there's, you know, powers and tiers, there's forced proximity because they have to live in this like dungeon together. Very protective, possessive MMC, and obviously badass characters. And then the second one is called Curse the Heart, and this has the scene in it, so love that. So I actually enjoyed this more than the first one. I gave this a 3.75. I found it a lot quicker, more entertaining. I liked the plot a little bit more, like I liked the way it went. That I can't again really say much, but they end up having to do a lot of trials and like competing with other mystics and stuff. So there's a lot of scenes where it gets a bit angsty and like conflict, and so it makes Athena and Sinner kind of realise their feelings for each other a little bit more. He obviously becomes a lot more protective of Athena because their feelings are developing. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I loved the development of Athena's powers. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything, but she is living up to her name, let's say that. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, and there is another POV introduced, the side character from the first one. I'm just gonna say it's Margaret, and it's Sinner's sister. Now, at the start, I was like, Margaret, you know, sure, like I liked her from the first, but I don't know whether, you know, I liked her enough to see loads of POVs from her, you know what I mean? It was funny being in her head though, like I liked her thoughts and stuff. She was a funny character, so I did actually really start to enjoy her POVs. But then a certain man gets introduced in Margaret's POV, and I loved that little bit of subplot of romance. It was so good. I was eating it up every single, like I started to enjoy Margaret's POVs more than the main people's POVs because the subplot of the romance was just like so addictive. So I really liked that aspect of it too. And yeah, and the ending was crazy. The ending was shocking and devastating, and I have to wait half a year, so not too long. It comes out on the 31st of December. That's what it says on the Kindle anyway. And the last one is called Bleed the Vow. So yeah, I will 100% be continuing it. I most likely will buy the paperbacks for these because I have quite a lot of like notes and stuff on the Kindle. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And of course I had my scene as well, so I love that bit as well. I just saw the next book that's come up. Okay, let me get comfortable. The next book we have is A Bargain So Bloody by Vasilisa Drake. So this is another one I saw on TikTok a while ago, and I noted it down on my journal because it said it was being published on the 14th of August, I think, like the paperback. So I noted it down because I wanted to buy it when it came out. But then I saw it on Kindle available to read. So it is actually available to read on Kindle, but the paperback isn't out in the UK, I'm assuming, until the 14th of August. So I was like, oh my god, I can read it. So I read it. So good. So this is a vampire romance. This is the first ever vampire romance I've read, ever. I've been missing out. I have been missing out. Oh my gosh. Why have I not read a vampire romance before this? Like, genuinely, why? It was so good. It was so good. So I gave this a 4.5. I would basically change it to a 5 now just because of the vibes. Like, honestly, it would become a 5. So this follows Samara, and at the start of the book, she is in a prison, and she's been in this prison for like 12 years, like since a child. She was sentenced there for something she didn't do. And one night, the cook tells her to go and deal with the new inmate at the end, to go heal him. Like, he gave her a salve to go heal him. And it's a vampire. It's a vampire. And they make a deal to break out of this prison together, and he helps her go out. And then the book is basically the aftermath of that, and them escaping the prison and, you know, going on a journey to find safety and whatnot. Now, that's not really a spoiler because that literally happens in the first 15 pages. I thought the book was going to be set in the prison. Like, I thought at least half the book or the first book might all be set in the prison, and then like they would escape at the end, and then the second one, no. They get out first 15 pages. So don't expect like a prison healer sort of thing. It was super addicting, like super fast paced, super addicting. Like, I couldn't put it down. It was just so good. The yearning, the romance, ooh, so good. I loved like the bond that FMC and the MMC had. So the MMC, the vampire, is called Raphael. He's the vampire, and he becomes very like protective of Samara, and he obviously says like, oh, it's just because we made a deal, I said I would protect you. But obviously, you know, feelings get involved, and it's not so much about a deal anymore, about the bargain. And he becomes like quite jealous as well in a lot of situations, which was fun to read. I really liked her writing. I loved the plot. Like, I loved everything that happened in the book. It, like I said, it's thoroughly entertaining, and the romance, oh my god, I keep saying the romance, but it was so good. But obviously it was like complicated. It's like kind of a complicated romance because she is, I don't actually know what she is, but like her mother was a witch, and the vampires are like the mortal enemies of the witch. So it was like going against everything she kind of knew to like spend time with a vampire. And then like things are revealed about Raphael and things like that, and you know, it gets a bit more complicated. And the conflict in this one was really good. The ending was crazy. The ending was so good. And luckily I read this 2 weeks ago. So, and the second one came out yesterday. Yesterday. So it is the book I'm going to be starting today. I'm so incredibly excited. You do not understand. Like, I'm actually so excited to see where this now goes because of that ending. It was so good. Some of the tropes summary, I do like a little list at the end of like the tropes and stuff and the summary. White-haired vampire MMC. I know everyone loves a good white, like silver-haired MMC. So check. Possessive, protective MMC. Vampires, witches, magic. Prisoners, forced proximity, because obviously they have a bargain, they spend a lot of time together. FMC is injured, you know, there's a lot of good stuff. Touch her and you die, quite literally. And a deal with the enemy. So amazing. If you haven't read this, oh my gosh, read it right now. After that eye-opening 2 vampires, I went on a vampire run, and I'm still on that run because the next one I read is 6 Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. It is a novella, but it's like a decent novella. It's not like 100 pages. I think it's like 200 and something pages. So this follows Lilith, and she is in a town that has been cursed and everyone is dying, and she is trying to find a cure for this curse and for this illness that is spreading through her town. And she ends up venturing to the vampire's house that's like on the edge of the village that no one talks about because they don't like vampires, because in this world there's like gods and goddesses and whatnot, and they do not like the vampires, so everyone like kind of shuns the vampire. But she goes to the town because she wants to experiment and see if there is anything with him that could cure this curse, and he is called Vale. And you know, she goes for like monthly visits to work out this curse, and obviously, you know, those visits create feelings, it creates romance, and obviously, yeah, she falls in love, obviously. And like, even though it was only 200 pages, it didn't feel like that because it was like built so well, like the story was done so well and the romance was developed amazingly. It didn't feel rushed at all. I think for some novellas, like a lot that I've read, it is so rushed that the pacing isn't realistic, and so I don't feel anything for the characters of the romance. That wasn't the case in this one at all. I literally was super invested in them. The romance was like really, really sweet, and I loved the interactions between Vale and Lilith. Like, they was really cute and wholesome. And the vampire again was quite protective of Lilith, which I really enjoyed. I love a protective MC, like, you know, I love that. And there was a bit of smut in it, and it was, you know, it was spicy, it was good smut, but it wasn't cringe, which of course love. I hate like cringy, gross smut, and that was not the case in this one. And again, the pacing of it was perfect. I thought the conclusion was really good and sweet, and yeah, it was just a really good, well-paced, well-written novella, and I enjoyed the romance, I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the plot, the world, everything was just amazing. So I gave that one a 4 out of 5. Okay, we are on to our last 2 books. Now, I did actually read this on my Kindle, but I have it in paperback, and that is A Duel with the Vampire Lord by Elise Cover. So this is the 3rd one in the Married to Magic series. It is an interconnected series. There isn't many links in this. Like, for example, like the Windy Sea series, like there is links between the characters, like they might be best friends or sisters or, you know, something like that. Though that isn't the case in this. There is like slight mentions of the other characters from the other 2 books, but it is extremely limited. So you don't have to read the other ones at all. You could just like skip to this one if you wanted, and it would be no issue. It's been a while since I got back into this like Married to Magic series, and I'm really glad I like picked it back up because I really enjoy her writing. I think the way she writes is amazing, and I enjoy her worlds. I enjoy the way she writes her romance and the world building and the plot and whatnot. It's always very entertaining as well, and there is always the theme of like it's a human with a magical being. So the first one was an elf king, the second one was a fae prince, this was a vampire lord, the 4th one is a siren duke, and the 5th one is a wolf knight. So there is magical beings, and I really enjoyed that. You know, the human times magical being kind of trope is always, you know, up there. This follows Florian, and she is a forger, like a mage forge. A forger maiden, oh my god. A forge maiden in the Hunter's Hamlet. Now, this is a village that all they do is literally train and protect themselves from the vampires that come every full moon. And they have hunters, that her brother is a hunter, and then there is the forge that creates the silver weapons that kill the vampires. So then on the blood moon that happens every 5 years, the vampire lord arrives, and they obviously, you know, have a battle. She ends up fighting the vampire lord, but she is kidnapped and captured to his castle, to his home, and she learns of the vampire. She learns that there are secrets that she did not know, and of course she learns a lot more about the vampire lord. And, you know, it's complicated because everything, you know, she believed in is, you know, kind of being questioned now. And yeah, it creates good conflict and good, yeah, it was a good plot. I loved both characters individually. So there was Florian, and the vampire lord is called Reuven. I loved them both individually. She was strong, he was strong, but they were both, you know, like, they were both sweet and kind and emotional as well. And again, he's obviously protective, and there's also a bond that goes into this, like a blood bond. So he obviously has more kind of protective feelings towards her because of that bond. So again, you know, my favorite trope. And I really enjoyed the ending of this as well, and the conclusion of the conflict was good. Like, it was realistic in this one. I feel like the journey it took them to get to the ending was like realistically paced, and it didn't feel like a letdown because of like the building up and whatnot. I enjoyed the side characters. There was like a little bit of a family vibe going on, which was really cute. And yeah, it was really entertaining. I loved the ending, loved the writing, loved the romance, loved the plot. Very, very strong 4. So yeah, the last one, guys, is, I actually have it on my Kindle here. It is A Fated Reckoning by Jamie Smith. So I saw this on the Kindle and I had a little look at the synopsis and it sounded quite cool, and I saw vampire and I was immediately hooked. So Mikhail and Bryn are bonded mates. He is a vampire, she is a fae. Is very frowned upon because they are enemies basically, but they did it 200 years ago. They bonded 200 years ago. But then Mikhail betrays Bryn and they do not speak for 200 years. They are like separated. But then he suddenly appears telling her that she is cursed and she's going to die if they do not find the 4 fragments of her soul. So then they go on a quest to find her soul and save her from this curse. And obviously they then have to deal with the betrayal and their emotions and stuff. Now that is of course a second chance romance, and I'm not a fan of second chance romance. I do not like it at all. The main problem with me about this book was because they had already established this connection, they were already fated mates. There wasn't like any flashbacks either to, like, sometimes a second chance for me, it's not as bad if there is flashbacks because you can learn of their previous like build up of the romance and like how they got to being like fated mates. But when there is nothing and it's just straight away like he's still in love with her, he's obsessed with her, I didn't feel invested or connected to their romance because I didn't understand it. Like, I hadn't seen their development. So like, how can I be invested if I haven't seen why? You know what I mean? I don't know how to like get my thoughts across. But he was like saying really sweet words and like really passionate things and expressing his love for her and stuff. And I was just like, no, I'm not feeling it. I'm like, no. But it was because I didn't get it, because I didn't see anything between them. It was just like all of a sudden he's back in her life and it was like, bam, I'm obsessed with you. It could be preference thing, like maybe if you tried it and you like second chance romances, it might be a good book for you, but for me that was the main aspect that really let it down. I never felt connected to the characters. I never understood their chemistry or connection. So that was the main thing that took it down. I did actually really like the ending though. Like, I started to get into it at the ending because I thought the conflict was quite good and like what happened at the end was pretty nice. Like, I enjoyed it. And I finally started to see the romance towards the end. But yeah, that's about it. So unfortunately I gave this a 2.75. I can definitely see why people may enjoy this, and like obviously, like I said, if you enjoy second chance romance, then this might be for you. It just wasn't for me and I couldn't get quite into it, unfortunately. So yeah, those are the 10 books I read this month. It's been a really good reading month. Found a new obsession with the vampire romances, of course. It was pretty much all fantasy except for the first, well no, that's technically fantasy as well because it has like fantasy aspects to it. But yeah, so if you've read any of these books and you agree or, you know, disagree with your opinions, then, you know, let me know in the comments what you guys think of them. Of course, reading is subjective. Everyone's going to have different opinions. People may love the book that you hate or hate the book that you love. That is just what happens with it. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.